It's recording. Okie dokie.
We'd have a guest speaker, watcher,
A nest builder.
This is North. And his ball. Hello, North!
Oh, and now Sahara's going to mother him.
Because this is what she does. Yes,
Yeah.
North is going to help us play this game. It's a team game. But
We need our genius.
We do.
Yes, this game, it says on the box that this game is good for in the car, and it really is, because you don't have any pieces. You have a pencil, and you have a piece of paper. I guess I'll be team 2.
Okay. And I'll be team 1.
You be team 1. You can have as many people on the team as you want, as long as it's an even team. We're just playing each other.
We're playing with our imaginary friend. As you can see, my team is all around here.
So I'm team 2. There's a number 2 here. I would follow this darker path. You're team 1. You would follow the lighter path. Whoops, the lighter path.
Well, the lighter path goes 2 different ways. So
yeah, if you're gonna play a short game or a long game.
North says we have to play a short game.
I think we're going to need to, because these are very tricky questions. It's a puzzler. You have all kinds of murder mystery game puzzle questions. We'll just start.
Okay. Do I roll this now or after?
No, I usually roll it after. I don't have
All
the
right.
directions to this anymore, but usually I play that you take the card. I would ask the question. If you get it right, you roll this and see how many spaces, and then you color them in. If there are other rules out there,
we play house rules.
yeah,
Who doesn't?
it's
right?
not very.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. Okay. So your first mind trap is: Charles Pompous was standing at the bar in the Soul Ace Hotel, rolling some dice in his hand. Hardy Pyle spotted Charles with the dice and strolled over looking for a possible wager. Charles said to Hardy, "I'll bet you $100 that if you take a regular die and tell me just the top number, I can correctly guess the bottom number 10 times out of 10. Would this be a good bet for Hardy to take?" While you're pondering, I'll answer the phone.
Okay.
It's probably a question about lemon chess pie.
Oh, maybe so.
I was wrong. It was a question about ice cream.
Oh. Okay.
It's still a dessert.
It would be an absolutely terrible bet to take because, well, actually, this would depend. It's a lot of depends if. If Hardy knew that Charles had no idea that the placement of the spots on die is actually governed by a rule, then if he knew that Charles didn't know that, then it would be a reasonable bet to take. But if he knew that Charles knew that it's like 7,
Assume the rule of the dice, the spots. Assume that he knows that.
well, then it's a terrible bet.
Yes,
to
it's a
take.
terrible bet to take because they're always
7.
7.
So I go 1 space. So I just go to here, right?
Right. And no, you there.
Oh, but I started here.
No,
so
you
what?
started here.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I'll just remember that the one that's fully coloured in is where I am.
Right. This is where you are. This is where you're going, and anything that's colored is where you've been. It's all the past that you've put behind you.
The shadows of the past. Ha ha ha. It happened in Midtown Manhattan during the July 4th celebrations that Sam Slug walked several kilometers from West 32nd Street all the way to West 63rd Street without seeing anyone or being seen by anyone. It was a clear sunny day and he could see where he was going. He did not use any disguise or unusual method of transportation. Even though Manhattan was swarming with people, not one person saw him. How could this be possible?
Well, I mean, you know, it's Manhattan. Nobody was looking at him.
Probably true, but not the answer on the card.
Ah! That's the only thing I can think of. Nobody was looking at him. They were all looking up. If it was the 4th of July, they were busy reading their ticker tape.
He was walking in the city sewer system.
It is a hot summer day, and Shadow is summoned to a field located several kilometers from the city center. Shadow surveys the scene. The frozen corpse lies in the freshly tilled field, and strangely there are no footprints anywhere around the body. The closest marks are tire tracks from a tractor more than 50 meters away. A farmer who had been working in the field all day said he had not seen anyone or anything unusual. How did the person die and turn up frozen in an open field?
He fell out of an airplane.
Close enough, yeah. When the landing gear, he stowed away on the landing gear, like the kid that flew.
Right. So what does the triangle, the diamonds mean?
Any question preceded by a diamond is designated an inquiry card. This card allows the team to ask the reader any question they choose that will help them solve the problem.
Right.
So the thing about the 4th of July, I could have said, you know, was he in the same location as the people in Manhattan?
Right.
You know, was he in a different part of the street, or...
Yeah, okay.
Right. The reader may respond with yes, no, or irrelevant.
Okay.
And we are doing it right with Team 1 selecting a card. After reading the question out loud, the reader flips the card over, reads the answer silently. Team 2 is now free to reread the question at their leisure. If Team 2 answers correctly, they either fill in one square on the pad and request another question, or roll the die and fill in the indicated value, thereby ending their turn. So you could do eternally. That's a little bit different than we've been playing. We've been rolling the die at the end of each turn. But you can make a choice. You can start here and answer a question and say, all right, we'll go again, all right, we'll go again, all right, we'll go again, and move one space at a time. Or you can say, that's it, I'm not doing it anymore. I've answered correctly. You can get either 0 to 3 on here. There are 3 1s, a 2, a 3, and a 0.
North path. I don't think North wants
Do you want to read it? You want to read it? What do you think? You think I should roll if I get it right? Well, I'll do that, but you know, you were wrong, North. The answer wasn't dice. Yeah, that's okay.
That's okay. You're coming out.
Oh.
Hi, baby. Hi, baby.
It's my turn to ask you a question. Deceptor, the famous magician, recently claimed that he had been in New York City performing a feat that no one else had accomplished. He boasted that he had walked on his hands for 1.5 miles down a typical cement sidewalk before he lost his balance and fell. What is wrong with Deceptor's claim?
This is all distracting to my thinking process.
Sorry, North went to the dish. He was hungry.
Oh, okay. Does this have something to do with the material which the sidewalk is constructed?
Yes.
Because a typical sidewalk in New York City is not made of cement?
No sidewalks are made of cement. Cement is one ingredient in concrete, which is what everything is made of.
Is that the answer?
Yes. So you got that right. You're not going again.
I am not.
You're still beating me because I'm really bad at this. But this is a really great game in the car for long distance trips because anyone can play and nothing can spill because you can, the cards have a rubber band around them, so you could store them in, you know, on the floor or someplace and use the box to shake the die.
Or you could just say you do one space at a time, and if it's a long, long journey.
Yeah. Sid Shady escaped from jail and headed to the country. While walking around a rural road, he saw a police car speeding toward him. Shady ran toward it for a short time and then fled into the woods. Why did he run toward the car?
There was a bend in the road before he had to go to the woods. I don't know.
You're close. He started on a bridge, saw the car. He had to run across the bridge in order. Yeah.
Many years ago, an extremely wealthy feudal lord died and left his fortune to his only child. It was known that he had a son, although his whereabouts was unknown. Word of the death finally got around, and several young men came forward claiming to be the heir. They all fit the description of the true heir, the right name, age, colouring and general appearance. It was at this point that an old friend of the deceased lord suggested a test to determine the rightful heir. They all agreed to the test except for one man. The ones who agreed were impostors. The one who refused the test was found to be the rightful heir. What was the test, and why would the rightful heir refuse?
We'll pause to take the dogs for a walk. I don't know. I'm just gonna...
It's a blood test, and because the son was known to be a haemophiliac, I think that's what it said in the card. He would have bled to death
He would have bled to death if he took the test.
Yes.
Right.
So he didn't take the test.
Yeah, blood test was going to be my next question, but I wouldn't have guessed hemophiliac.
Hey, Whisper. Hey, Whisper. So we had a change of special guest. This is Whisper now. And Sahara, that was my toes that you hurt just now. So you change the orientation of the square, yeah? Okay. See, I told you, it was a really obvious answer.
All of them are, but this is like, you know, you read in books, like we're reading Eldest now, and they're writing Saphira, and Saphira and the dwarf are doing the mind games with each other as they travel just to keep themselves entertained.
Riddles.
Yeah.
Bilbo! Smeagol!
Yeah, okay. Lord of the Rings riddles too. There are riddles in all of those. Yeah. Like, this is how people kept themselves entertained.
Yes. Hello, you want to read this one? Huh?
No, I'm not interested. Well,
you want to steal this one?
Yeah, he probably does.
Following World War II, freezers and frozen food grew in popularity. Fish was an immediate success as a frozen item, but sales soon dropped because the fish tasted flat. The fish underwent chemical changes while being brought to the shore and before it could be frozen. Soon the fish processing companies decided to transport the fish live in large tanks until they reached the docks where they could be frozen. The fish still tasted flat after capture because they did not move around as they do in their natural habitat. What would be the easiest way to after capture to keep fish swimming as they do in their natural environment?
Put a current in the tank. That's going to be my answer. Create a current so that, like with seahorses, so that in the small area they're using more muscle to
Close.
well, that's the answer that I'm gonna give. I'm not gonna sit here and wait
Okay.
for forever.
You put a predator in the tank with them, because that will keep them swimming, because they'll be swimming to keep away from the predator.
But then you'll have less fish because the predator will eat them all before you get home.
I didn't write the question, I just read the answer.
This question is based off of animal cruelty.
Great call, Peter. Something extraordinarily unusual happened on the 6th of May 1978 at 12:34 p.m. What was it?
Well, it depends. Was it the first Saturday in May?
Irrelevant.
Ah, yes it is. I don't know the first Saturday in May that year.
But it's still irrelevant to the answer.
It's irrelevant to the, so it's not that the Derby.
It's nothing to do with the Kentucky Derby.
Because 78's the last year we had a Triple Crown winner, so that would have been.
Right. No, it's nothing to do with the Derby.
The date would read 5/6/78, 5/6/78, and then 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, I'll give that to you. It's because it's the it would
It
read
would be
if you-
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8
in the United States.
Yes, I know, because this is a United States game.
Picture an empty wine bottle with a cork secured at the top in the usual way. Inside the bottle, a metal ring hangs suspended by a string. How is it possible to make the metal ring drop to the bottom of the bottle without touching the ring, the thread, the cork, or the bottle?
Can I ask questions?
Yes.
Does it have to do with magnets?
No.
I don't know. Does it have anything to do with earthquakes or natural disasters?
No.
Or elephants?
No elephant. Sorry, Julia.
I don't know.
Use a magnifying glass to burn through the rope.
Yes. Based on the laws of the U.S. Constitution, there are 5 requirements a person must meet in order to become President of the United States. The candidate must be at least 35 years old, must be a citizen of the United States, must have resided in the United States for at least 14 years, must have been born in the United States. There is one more requirement. What is it? I like this one too, Whisper. He's making happy sound.
I'm glad you like it.
You have to be elected.
Well, that's obvious.
But it was one of the requirements that wasn't listed.
A frightened Sid Shady picked up the phone and asked Shadow to come to his home at once. The house was in darkness except for the light of several candles. As Shady explained the purpose of his call, he went to the fridge and withdrew a tray of ice. Dropping a cube in his scotch, he began, "I owed Lance a fair amount of cash, and when I got home he was here waiting for me. I had no idea it was him. I had some bad luck at the track lately, and as a result I haven't paid my power bill. They cut it off 2 days ago. When I opened the door I saw a figure moving in the moonlight and I panicked. I swung and hit him. He fell back and hit his head on the mantel. He's lying on my living room floor. I think he's dead." Shadow interjected, "You can stop the fabrication right there. What's wrong with Shady's account?"
The ice.
Yes.
He heard him put the ice in, and if the power was out, there would be no ice.
Yes.
I'm rolling.
Okay.
Because it's worked so well for me before. Sam Slug got out of jail and pushed his car to the St. James Place Hotel. When he arrived, he realized he was bankrupt. How could his financial disaster be explained?
I have no clue.
He's playing Monopoly. You have to know the Monopoly board. When you get out of jail, you go down to St. James Place with a hotel on it. It wiped him out.
Pushed his car. The car is a playing piece.
Yeah.
Okay. Clever.
They replaced one of the playing pieces. Did they replace the... I think they replaced the thimble?
I don't know what they replaced.
I know they didn't replace the hat. They put a cat in its place.
Shadow was on the Isle of Bajil, an island where the natives always lie and the visitors always tell the truth. He was having lunch with a salesman and he needed to know if he was a native or a visitor. Instead of asking the salesman directly and still not being assured of a straight answer, Shadow put the salesman to a little test. Shadow saw a woman at another table and said, "Go ask that woman if she's a native or a visitor." When the salesman returned, he said, "She says she's a visitor." From the answer given, can Shadow know for certain if the salesman is a native or a visitor?
I'm not allowed to ask questions on that. If he knows the woman, yes. If it's his wife or sister or something, then yes, because if he knows her already, then asking the other person to ask her, whatever he comes back with will let him know, if he knows the woman already. That's not the right one.
That's not the right answer.
I don't know then, because that's the only way I would solve that problem.
The woman will answer that she is a visitor, whether she's a native or a visitor. Because the native will tell a lie and say they're a visitor, and the visitor will tell the truth and say they're a visitor.
Oh, yeah.
So if the salesman comes back and says she's a visitor,
Then he knows that he's lying.
A visitor also.
Right. What is the beginning of eternity, the end of time, the beginning of every end, and the end of every place?
The letter E.
Yes.
I don't know why I get the easy ones, because I'm lucky today. I don't know. There you go. Look, I got a 0. 0.
Oh boy, a one sentence. This will be easy.
How far can a dog run into the woods?
Halfway.
Yeah.
Because from that point on, he's running out of it.
Yes.
A farmer in California owns a beautiful pear tree. He supplies the fruit to a nearby grocery store. The store owner has called the farmer to see how much fruit is available for him to purchase. The farmer knows that the main trunk has 24 branches. Each branch has exactly 12 boughs, and each bough has exactly 6 twigs. Since each twig bears one piece of fruit, how many plums will the farmer be able to deliver?
None, because it's a pear tree.
Yes. Or play the short game,
Yes.
because otherwise this would be a really long video.
Duncan Drivel hailed a cab. While being driven to his destination, he started chattering non-stop to the driver. The cabbie realised that Duncan would not shut up, so he resorted to an old cab driver's trick. He looked into the rear-view mirror and said, "I'm sorry, mister, I can't hear a word you're saying. My hearing aid broke down this morning. I'm quite deaf even when it's working, but believe me, when it's not working, I'm totally deaf." At his destination, Duncan paid the cab fare and got out. A few moments later, Duncan realised that the cab driver had lied to him about his hearing problem. How did Duncan know the driver was lying? He must have told the driver his destination, and if the driver had been deaf.
I have the only key to the room containing the jewelry of my late aunt, Maggie, stated Sid Shady. Since her death a week ago, neither I nor anyone else has entered this room. I was quite pleased to hear her will requested that all her jewelry was to be sold and the proceeds go to charity, continued Shady. Shadow removed a huge plant whose broad leaves were turned toward the wall, partially covering the safe. While Shady was working the combination lock, Shadow crossed the room to sit on the ledge of the large bay window. Shady opened the safe and removed the bag of jewels. I'm sure these jewels will fetch a fortune for charity, said the smiling Sid Shady. I'll bet these jewels are either fake or there's a few missing, replied Shadow. What aroused Shadow's suspicion?
The leaves of the plant are facing the wrong direction.
Yes, he has the only key, and the leaves of the plant would have been leaning toward the light at that point. Do you want to just call it? Because there's no way I'll be able to catch up with you.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, for the sake of the video, we'll say you're one space away from winning.
One space away from winning. Yeah.
So.
Okay.
But it passes time.
Yeah, it's a good, it's interesting.
And I mean, even if you don't use this, you can just take the stack of cards and ask each other questions while you're traveling.
But what has it got in its pockets?
I can tell you what it's got in its pockets. It's air. Otherwise, it would be a vacuum.
My precious.